The Los Angeles Rams won their second Super Bowl in franchise history, defeating the Bengals 23-20 in Super Bowl 56. If you guys remember watching my preview and prediction for this game, you remember that I was pretty conflicted when it came to my prediction for who would win this game. Now, ultimately, I went with the Rams because the Rams were my preseason pick to win the Super Bowl. And I also doubled down on them and picked them to win the Super Bowl again before the playoffs started. However, despite the fact that I have been high on the LA Rams all year, even before the season started, I had them winning the Super Bowl. The Cincinnati Bengals really made the decision process tough for me. Because, even though you don't really see teams with bad offensive lines make it far in the playoffs, Cincinnati was a outlier because their offensive line was really good on the left side. However, on the right side, that's where their offensive line wasn't all that great. And that was my biggest reason for why I picked the Rams to win, because I didn't think that Cincinnati's offensive line would be able to hold up against the pass rush of the LA Rams with Leonard Floyd, Aaron Donald, and Von Miller. I just felt like in the big moments when Cincinnati's offensive line needed to play their best football, they weren't able to do that, and the Rams pass rush got the best of them. And I was really emotional watching this game because I was rooting for both teams to win. I wanted to see Matthew Stafford finally win the Super Bowl after years of being criticized in Detroit. Everybody calling him the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. You remember when people were calling him Matthew Stat Pafford because he only padded his stats when it didn't matter? And you also remember a lot of people saying that Matthew Stafford couldn't win the playoffs. It's crazy how in one season he gets traded to a team with a great head coach and a good team around him, and he wins not only his first playoff game, but he wins 3 playoff games and a Super Bowl. Crazy what you can do with a good franchise and a good team. Then I wanted to see OBJ win the ring because Odell is one of my favorite players in NFL history. And when I saw him score the first touchdown of the game, it made me so happy. And then I almost cried because then Odell tore his ACL, and it was so hard for me watching that. I almost cried. I promise to God I'm not making this up. I was watching the game, my homeboy was having a Super Bowl party. I'm just watching the game and I'm like, I have my hands over my eyes. I'm like, oh man, Odell, no, he finally gets an opportunity to show that he is one of the better wide receivers in the league. All of the scrutiny and criticism that he got when he was playing with Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns, he goes to LA. He resurrects his career. He has a big part in the offense during the playoffs. And then they lose him in the most important game of the year in the Super Bowl. And then their offense went flat. And they didn't really wake up until really the last drive on offense when they had the ball, when Cooper Kupp went ridiculous and he pretty much caught every single pass that drive, including the game-winning touchdown. So, you just look at the injury to OBJ, man, it really, really hurt me. But I was really happy in the end that the Rams were able to get the win. And when Cincinnati lost, that hurt me too. But we knew that this game was going to be decided between the Cincinnati offense and the defense of the LA Rams. The Rams had some mistakes early. You had the interception by Matthew Stafford in the end zone, which was really big. And then on top of that, you had another interception by Matthew Stafford. However, the Rams had control of this game in the first half, it seemed. It felt like Cincinnati could never really establish a rhythm offensively. And then we get to halftime, and everybody that's watching the game is saying, oh, JT, you might as well go ahead and pay up because I made a bet with my homeboy that Cincinnati would win or cover +7, which we basically betted on the spread, but we created our own spread. So I told my friend that I bet $50 that Cincinnati wouldn't get blown out. So we basically bet a point spread of +7. So either Cincinnati will win this game or they wouldn't lose by more than 7, which was pretty easy money. And I ended up coming up, not going to say the amount, but I picked Cincinnati to cover the full point spread. And I also had another bet with Cincinnati with my homeboy. But Cincinnati really played hard in this game. And there was several opportunities that Cincinnati had to close this game out and to put the closing lid. However, the difference is, despite the fact that Cincinnati was still able to have those big plays, you saw the big play that Jamar Chase had in this game. You saw the big touchdown by T. Higgins, which the non-call with the face mask on Jalen Ramsey didn't get called. So that was a big turning point in this game for Cincinnati. That's when Cincinnati started to get a lot of momentum. But in the fourth quarter, when it came down to which team needed to make the biggest play to win the game, the Rams were the team who came up big. When you had the game-winning score by Cooper Kupp on the Rams' final offensive possession, when they're trying to win the game, Cooper Kupp catches a touchdown on Eli Apple. And we got to talk about Eli Apple in this game because he was talking a lot of trash the week leading up to this matchup, talking about how he wanted to guard his former teammate, Odell Beckham, because remember that Eli Apple was a former first-round pick by the New York Giants a couple of years back. So him and Odell were teammates. He said that he knew Odell's tendencies, like he wanted to guard Odell. Well, he didn't really get the opportunity to do that all that much because Odell Beckham didn't participate in the whole entire game. But when Eli Apple was in coverage, he got burnt more times than not, or he was giving up plays more times than not. He didn't really have a big impact in helping the Cincinnati Bengals win the Super Bowl. However, he had a huge impact in helping the Rams win the Super Bowl and the Cincinnati Bengals lose the Super Bowl because Eli Apple allows the game-winning touchdown. And I don't understand why Eli Apple was even guarding Cooper Kupp. Like, I don't know if it was a schematic thing. Maybe, Cincinnati felt comfortable with Eli Apple guarding him, but I don't even think that he's the best corner on Cincinnati's roster. Like, Chidobe Awuzie, like, why wasn't he guarding Cooper Kupp the final play? Why wasn't he guarding Cooper Kupp more on the final drive? Like, I just find it weird how the worst corner on Cincinnati's team was guarding the best receiver on the Rams in the biggest moment of the game. Don't really understand that. But you look at Cincinnati moving forward. Can this team possibly make it to the Super Bowl again? Now, I think that they have a great shot at doing it because they have a lot of cap space and they are one of the youngest teams in the league. So I think the average age for Cincinnati is like 25. So Cincinnati, you already have your franchise QB in Joe Burrow. He is without a doubt the best quarterback in the AFC North. And you have a great group of wide receivers. And if you can improve that offensive line, which you should be able to do with all of the money that you're going to have to spend in free agency, the Bengals most definitely can make it off the AFC again because, like, the gap between Cincinnati and the rest of the AFC is not big at all. Like, as a matter of fact, there are going to be a lot of people who probably are going to count out the Cincinnati Bengals once again. They're going to say, well, Cincinnati got fortunate because they were playing in a division where you had an aging quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger. Baker Mayfield was inconsistent and Lamar Jackson was hurt for a good majority of the season. And I can understand that. However, it is fair to say that Cincinnati is in a better spot to succeed than the rest of their rivals in the AFC North because, first of all, they don't have to worry about the quarterback position like Pittsburgh does and Cleveland has to do because we don't know what the future is going to be for Baker Mayfield, and we don't even know how good Baker Mayfield is going to play in 2022 for the 2022 NFL season. We don't know who the starting quarterback is going to be for Pittsburgh, and for the Baltimore Ravens, they are trying to figure out how are they going to handle giving Lamar Jackson an extension along with fixing the necessary holes that they have to fix if they're going to be in the running for contending for a championship? So for Cincinnati, you probably have the best recipe for success than any other team in the AFC North, because you still have Joe Burrow playing on his rookie deal, and the quarterback position isn't really all that much of a concern. The only position on offense that needs improving is the offensive line. The defense is pretty good. Your linebackers are really good in coverage, and your defense played really well in the playoffs when they needed to make big plays and they needed to come away with big turnovers. That's when this Cincinnati defense was able to step up. But I don't think that this is just a one-off occurrence for Cincinnati. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if we see them back in the Super Bowl within the next decade or so. But I don't expect them to be, always in the Super Bowl conversation year in and year out, just because how competitive this division is going to be. There's going to be some years when the Ravens win the division and it's their year. There's also going to be a couple of times when Pittsburgh's going to have their year as well. Cleveland may win here or there. So the division is going to go back and forth. But overall, Cincinnati has a really good starting point and a really good foundation to win a championship within the next decade or so. It really just depends on how consistent the coaching staff is going to be and how the division plays out and how Cincinnati stands in the division year in and year out. So the LA Rams defeat the Cincinnati Bengals to win the 56th ever Super Bowl. They captured their second ever Super Bowl title, and the LA Rams are your Super Bowl champions for the 2021-2022 NFL season. Let me know your thoughts on this game in the comment section below if you're watching this on YouTube. And make sure that you check out the JT Sports Podcast. Every video that's uploaded on the channel is available in audio format on every single podcasting platform.